Hey everybody, it's Jeff and Yev coming to you. This was supposed to be Facebook Live, but some technical issues we had to get sorted out. I wanted to be able to interview Yev, but also allow him to be able to share his screen, and some technical things prevented us from doing it Facebook Live. So we're making this recording so you can kind of still get the same kind of gist of what we were going to do there. So yeah, why don't you take everybody through like who you are, your background, all that kind of stuff before we kind of get into what happened and the results you got and all that kind of good stuff.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jeff. I'm looking forward to sharing exactly what we did and some of the results that some of you guys might apply to your business.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll go straight into the share screen then. So let me go.
Do you want to give us a quick like run through of your background, the business, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So let me. Can you see my screen right now?
I can see the hero clip slide.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm director of e-commerce and growth analytics at HeroClip. I started off in being academia and academic scientist for 10 years, kind of having this analytical perspective, but in the last couple of years being more of a digital marketer, figuring out funnels and ads. And in the past year, we grew from 2 people to 7 people. So a lot of this, you'll kind of see that there's great content that we have, but also the things that I figured out that I'm going to share today, I think like anyone can take advantage of this and start using this right now, even if you're a one-person team. So I'm kind of applying a data-driven marketing perspective to this.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So everybody, if you didn't see Yev's post originally in the group, basically what he was able to do through a lot of different tests and stuff that he ran is, what was it, 5,000 page views a month to over 150,000?
Yeah, that's correct.
So that's a pretty big jump. So that's what we're going to kind of go through today. We're going to see what Yev did, like where they were when they started, how he kind of scaled it to that, and just kind of look at the process they went through. So maybe you guys can take that and implement it in your business. So Yev, why don't you take us through?
Sounds good. So I'm going to show you the steps, the kind of big picture steps in our Facebook ads, and it's sending people to our website and different landing pages. And I'm going to show you, so there's basically like 3 types of funnels that we're doing: to our homepage, to a page that leads to an Amazon offer, and then 3 to Zipify pages. And it fits into our business where we're kind of like combining like our Amazon and our website, and only now starting our email marketing because we're getting hundreds of subscribers per day because we're able to cover the cost of our ad costs with the revenue of immediate sales right away. So it's kind of like the bigger picture of how it fits into our brand.
And before you kind of started like scaling everything, like what was the traffic strategy at that point?
Yeah, before we started scaling, it was everything at a small scale where we were reaching out to influencers, and we had success in retail. So it's partnering with different brands, making sure that they mention us in social media. So it was kind of like a couple of 100 people maybe making it their way to our website.
Sure. Okay, so cool.
When I show like these steps, then I'll briefly say like how long it took to do each step of testing and scaling up, and then what that means in terms of like the traffic and revenue. So I'll like briefly can show Google Analytics data.
Sounds great.
So for the Facebook ad section, this is where there's 4 main steps, and this is where in step 1 and step 2, it's a lot of image and copy testing. So right now I'll kind of give a very brief overview, and then maybe in the follow-up questions in the Facebook group, we can kind of go into more details.
Perfect.
And in the testing, this is where you want to test as much as possible. And I'm not talking about like 4 or 6 image variants, but we tested over 30 images where all of the copy was the same, different images. And then over 30 different variations of copy where it's like one same image, same placement, same audience, but just a bunch of copy. Sure. And then we took the winners of the image and the copy and combining it. So that's step 3, where we have more ad sets again, but it's all of the best ones. We know that already resonated with people. Mm-hmm. And this is where some magic happened, where the click-through rates we were getting in these first steps, they were like exponentially higher for the next step. And then in step 4, this is where the next level of magic happens. And this is where you start worrying about the Facebook pixel and the objectives that you're choosing, where those things, like I didn't even worry about them steps 1 to 3. Then step 4 is where you want to choose objectives where it's like add to cart and purchases. You're telling Facebook where show this ad to people that are more likely to take certain steps on the website. And a lot of people, they try to do this like right away and it's overwhelming, but I figured out where step 4 is where that's important. And this is where the effects of this, let me see if I have this on next slide, is basically going from in all of this testing in step 1 and step 2 and only getting a couple of sales, but it was like $1,000 spent on the testing. And it was like overkill. Like later on, I found you could have done it at a smaller budget, but $1,000 spent and having a couple of sales on a $20 product, which seems like a total failure, but it was completely required to get to the next step. And this is where our click-through rates went higher and our cost per clicks went lower. So then spending the same amount of money in step 3, we had over 20 sales, while the same amount of money spent only had 2 sales and much higher click-through rates, lower cost per click.
And so that's that highlights the point of I don't know, maybe you've heard having to like buy the data for Facebook ads and all that kind of stuff. And this basically highlights what that actually means. So step 1 and step 2, you were just trying to get a little data on how your images worked. Like, were people clicking through? On step 2, were people like really, you know, engaging with your copy? And then since you bought that data in step 1, step 2, step 3, you combine the best of both worlds based on the data to find ads that really worked. And then Yev's stats here show that obviously that worked really well. So they, you know, like 10x their CTR and had like way more sales and everything. So that's kind of the beauty. And also, you know, I feel like people, I think, Yev, you might have just mentioned this too, but a lot of times in step 1 and step 2 is where people stop because they don't see that it's working. Whereas that's usually just the beginning stuff that, like, you know, how you kind of like optimized it and you found in step 3 that you started finding things working, and then step 4 is where the magic happened. I feel like most people, they get discouraged on step 1 and step 2, and then it's just like, oh, this doesn't work, I'm done.
Exactly. And their step 1 and 2 is more like starting at step 4 right away, but they're not using winning copy. And then they're like doing all these objectives for purchases, add to carts, and it's not working because it's expensive and it's low click-through rates. So you kind of have to optimize that first.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
But that's only like step 4 is where then again, for the same money is when you're letting then Facebook do the work, that increases as well, that return on the ad spend.
Absolutely. So I think the one thing you had mentioned about, like, on step 4, you kind of were then focusing on your pixels and everything. I think the one thing that I would suggest also is, you know, if somebody were to implement this, I don't think you need to focus on your objectives and that sort of stuff like you're talking about, but I would have your pixel placed on all your pages because it's pretty easy, and Facebook does need that to be able to like optimize everything. So that's like pretty basic stuff. You can add it to Shopify and then basically it sends it out everywhere from there. But that's like all you really need to kind of focus on as far as, you know, Facebook pixels and objectives and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Have it in place. So for these steps to be effective, then when I'm showing the live website, you can see that we're able to improve on step 3 and step 4 because along the way we could also make changes, and then step 4 is an evolving process where we make it better and better, so then that return is even higher. So we want that data in place.
Absolutely.
So let me go into, so I'm gonna show website. Do you see the other screen?
Yep, heat map.
Jump to a window. Yeah, so for some of the testing, let me go into Google Analytics first. So this is only a couple of months ago when we figured out. So before, like you asked how much traffic we were getting, you know, it's like a couple of hundred visitors per day.
Yep.
And then there was this phase for about a week that we were doing the image and copy testing. And so here's a tip for whether you're a beginner or advanced, and this really worked for us, is that the results we got during that week, when I looked day by day, the results were fairly consistent. So like those top 5 winners, like for the week combined, they were fairly consistent, like day by day. So, you know, we spent $1,000, but if you so we were spending like $5 per ad set, and we had, over 60 ad sets. So like it added up, but you don't have to run it for a week. We just run it for a day. And it might give you a good idea that, the top 5 or 7 ad sets that out of your, 30 or 40, that those are the ones you move on to the next round and combine those in different ways with your, best images and best copy.
Yeah, totally.
And then once we saw, we're like, all right, what's up with these crazy click-through rates? That's when we started optimizing, and then we're kind of like sold out of inventory, so we weren't able to scale up further. So that's when it basically like went down.
Sure.
So let me see. Let me show you. So the 3 different funnels, and so right now I'm just gonna go into Ad Manager, just like show a brief example of. So like here you can look at the unique click-through rates for the links, where these are like crazy high numbers, and this is already like scaled up. And then that's step 3. As soon as we mix them, within a few hours, like within that first 24 hours, you absolutely know that yes, you mixed it, you mixed the best ones, and you're already seeing click-through rates that aren't just on average like 1% or whatever I was getting before. And cost per clicks were like $1, $1.50, but then it was like right away like 50 cents and like 20 cents, and even some ads lower.
Did you have any kind of specific strategy for combining the winning elements?
Yeah, so what I did, I took the top image and combined it with like the top 7 copy, and then I took the second best image and combined it with like the top like 7 copy, and then I had a bunch of wild cards. Like I took some of the top 3, 4, and 5 images, and this is based off click-through rate. So just like the top ones were getting unique click-through rates per link. And the wild cards were like, well, the unique click-through rate was only like, it wasn't as high, but it had a lot of post reactions. So it's kind of like a wild card. Like there's something about it. So I chose that one and mixed it in there as well. And
awesome.
And let me see if there's. Let me show you. I guess any of these is fine. So for like the audience, so again, this might like look complex to some people, but this is where I'm like just want to get into like millions of dollars audience size, and we're using just a whole bunch of lookalikes, just a combination of whatever lookalike, just kind of increasing it, and the actual targeting. Oh, don't have that one. Let me see, different one. So like now we know that we just want a really broad audience, and we want to find the ones that Facebook optimizes, like it chooses who to show it to. But initially we were just doing all kinds of like outdoors interest. It was like super broad. So here, like you can see it where it's just like outdoors, and like they like different like national parks, like very broad. So people like they overthink this part, but no, we just added a whole bunch of interest, just like basic outdoors things, and combined it with a whole bunch of other ones, and that was it. So like very simple. Like don't make this too complex for the audiences.
Sure.
And the reason this works, so we're sending them to 3 types of pages. So one, I'm going to go to homepage. So we're sending them to homepage where we see some social proof, some more content about the video, and if like the product features, how it's unique, and then they're able to click the shop button either down here or up here, and that's already a second click where later on Facebook will know that they're going from one page to the second page. So this is like our most common funnel, basically from homepage to product page, and then adding to cart or purchasing.
Okay.
The other one, so I'm going to show the other 2 briefly, is they're going from, so this is an Amazon offer where, and like the ads, they're like all the same, because now we're like testing different funnels, but we know the ad is working. So this is where they land on one page. We're just saying no email required, and they're going to see the coupon code right away on Amazon. On the next page, they see some content about the product and the lifestyle, and then they see the code right away, link to Amazon. So this is important where in the Facebook objectives, you're choosing people to make it to the second page. So they land on that first one, but Facebook is going to show it more likely to the people that are actually going to click and go on that second page. So like this is exactly what we're doing. Like this one is like very easy. Again, we can't track add to carts or checkouts because it's to Amazon, but we're able to tell Facebook who's seeing the second page.
Sure.
And then the third one, let me see, is to Zipify pages, and these ones where we're customizing to all kinds of audiences relevant to like outdoors and travel, changing the pages a bit. And I'm overlaying mouse data, so we're actually like improving, seeing how it's working.
Yep.
So, and you know, you can see this is a very common Zipify template. So it's some about the product, like different uses, some social proof, like a video for more content, and then like full price or kind of like discount options right away. So when in Facebook we're saying the objective to like add to cart or actually purchasing. So that's the second page that they reach after this one.
Sure.
So they're going like directly to the Zipify page and then the next page.
Yep. What is of the three that we just looked at, which one is, so far at least is has been the most effective for you?
I would say to our home page, and then they go to the product page, probably because that's the one we worked on the most.
Sure.
Like the home page, and we made it more like a landing page style.
Yeah. It's not just like a collection of everything. It's more like kind of driving people to buy the hero clip.
Yeah, and you may have noticed we're kind of going for like an outdoors audience, so we're making that clear in the home page. And actually on one of the office hours before, you had a suggestion like making it clear, so we added this message line up top, kind of like the product offering. World's first carabiner that do this, so it's kind of like just trying to show that offering a little bit better, like what's unique about it. But on the Zipify, so we're testing different verticals. So we also have like this travel page, one for parents, fashion, because it's in different industries, the product, how it's used. And there's differences there where some of the best ones are performing just as good as like that homepage funnel.
Okay, sure.
Which for us, it's like the outdoor one. Yeah. And maybe because we know our audience better. And some of the other ones aren't doing good, but maybe we just haven't optimized those pages as much, the language in there.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And let me see. No, it's just like more data of improving the pages. One thing I wanted to mention, we're also using the one-click upsell, and we're using like the basic template of how the content is there, which is like shorten some of the text. But we're having a lot of success on, so like 30% of our orders take the upsell, which is just like one more product.
Oh, that's awesome.
Discount. The only thing that we did different, and I don't know how many one-click upsell users are doing this, is that if people are adding to cart, like this cart comes up in our theme, and they have the option to checkout, but we removed it, so we put in some code. That way they can't click checkout. Because if they do that, I think it takes them to the Shopify checkout process, not the one-click upsell process.
Okay.
So this way we're kind of forcing them to, if they click the view cart, and then from here, once they click checkout, it takes them to the one-click upsell checkout process. Gotcha. So I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but we're getting 30%
wow, that's
orders
great.
Taking the upsell. So that's like the role of one-click upsell. And again, we're using the default template, so we didn't do that. So if you're thinking about one-click upsell, just like try it. And like it worked for us. I was surprised how easy that's working.
Oh, that's fantastic news. So, okay, and then let's circle back to kind of the initial conversation about the results. So you went from 5K per month on, is that just the homepage?
That's the entire website. So 5,000 website visitors per month.
And then through this optimization of your ads and everything, then you went to over 150K?
Yeah. So in the past 2 months, it's now like, it's been like 300,000 visitors that we had.
Nice.
And it's basically driving down the cost per click. So kind of like I showed in the Facebook Manager, you can see like those cost per clicks are really low.
Sure.
And it's getting it down to where we're sending more people at a lower cost than before, and then Facebook is optimizing, showing it to the more relevant people that are actually buying.
Totally. Okay. Now, let's say, knowing what you know now, if you were to go back to the beginning, what do you think you would do differently, or would you do everything the same?
Now, I would definitely do these 4 steps where for the step 1 and 2, just do these at the same time. So like the image and copy testing.
Sure.
Now I know that's a requirement. And before these 2 months, I would also always test like 4 or 6 images. I'm like, all right, that's a big enough test. But force yourself to put like more than 20 variants. Use tools like whether it's bigbigads.com or SpyFu. Look at what other successful examples to look at the copy they're using.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you have a lot of variation. And what worked for us, so like the best images, it's where there's curiosity to it, meaning it's like a weird angle where people can't exactly tell what it is, but it's like holding a backpack or like, what is it? So like try like different depth perception. That worked the best for us.
Sure.
But again, some, let me see if you can kind of see from some of these images, like these were like our images, just like 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the product being in use, some it's like you can't tell what it is, but like a different variety. And same for the copy. What worked the best for us were quotes. Some, like one was from like a super small magazine. It was like infinitely useful for anyone. So like we tested like quotes like that. Some quotes were from Amazon reviews, things like,
Gotcha. Sure.
I bought one and then I decided I need 4 more. So just like have a whole bunch of variety that gets a different psychology of people.
Yeah.
So like that variety, like I would definitely make sure you include that, because a lot of people want to skip that because they're like, oh, I have to create 30 ad sets.
Right.
So definitely include that.
Okay. Awesome, man. Well, if anyone has any questions, can they just like comment below the video, and you know, you guys can kind of talk about scaling and all that kind of stuff in the comments of the video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
If there's enough interest, I could post a PowerPoint. There's like a lot more detail on like how to set up campaigns,
Sure.
but some people that have tried something similar, it totally did not work for some people, and it's working for some people. So it just depends on
Sure.
your audience and your business. But yeah, I'll take questions like through the Facebook group if you just comment on there.
Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks so much for hopping on and being the first kind of case study like this that we're going to be putting into the user community. And yeah, thanks for just sharing your expertise, man.
Thanks, Jeff. Happy to do it. Hope it helps somebody.